sounds a little bit racist. especially how you said that. Hi, I'm John. Didn't you catch the Super Bowl? Wow, those two teams.
And I'm John, and everything I say has been predetermined.
And I'm not John, and I'm going to see the Streets in a couple of days, and I'm going to call one of the Johns every 2 minutes during their set for the entire duration.
Is that the loser of the episode's getting called?
Yes, now it is. Wait, no, because I'm not asking questions. So,
Fuck.
If I win... Wait, who's asking questions this week?
John.
Me?
If I win, I will call John with a H. If I don't win, I'll be calling John without a H. That's the fairest way to do it. There's a podcast called Would John Rather, where I don't ask two people called John questions because we've changed the format over 20 weeks ago.
But, copyright and expenditure, it's just going to stay the same. Please bear with us.
Yeah, we did toy with the idea of changing it to Would John or Not John Rather, or sometimes not. But it wasn't as catchy as the title of our podcast. We put parentheses in the middle, so it was super easy for people to find when we were telling them about our podcast. So I can't. Every time I see the title, I'm like, it is kind of clever and I like it, but also I just imagine if one of you came and said to me, "Oh, you need to listen to this podcast," and I said, "What's it called?" And they went, "Well, it's called Would John Rather." But wait, there's more. So is Would John Rather with John spelt with an H? However, around the H you need parentheses to make sure that you can actually find it, because otherwise you won't find it because it's not as popular yet as it should be.
But if you're listening to this, then you've already worked that out.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you've made a really massive mistake and you're questioning your life choices.
Yeah.
What led you to this point?
Shall we dive right in, or have you got any updates from your previous week to share with everyone?
Well, you know this podcast is pre-recorded. I have no idea what's going on with the Super Bowl. I lied. I just want to put that out there.
Well, the thing is, they'd have known that, John, because the episode goes live at midnight on a Monday, where the game would have just kicked off.
Oh, God damn it.
But I didn't know whether you were going to realise that, so I just thought I'd leave you to it.
I had this really weird notion that the podcast went live at 7 a.m. when I started listening to it on my way to work. I didn't think it was going to be available at midnight.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Who's having midnight launch parties for our episodes?
Well, it goes live on a Monday, and I figured I'll make it go live at as soon as Monday hits, because people might listen to it when they go to work at 4 a.m. I know that my colleague who works as the night shift in the hotel, he listens to it every Sunday night because it's technically Monday morning. Oh. So that's why whenever we wake up on a Monday, we've already had one listen. I just figured rather than saying, it goes live at 7 a.m. or whatever, if someone has to go to work at 6, then they might not listen to it on the Monday, then they might forget on the Tuesday, and we've lost a fan. So consistency is key. Start your week right.
Plus, we want to pick up the mid-morning Asia traffic.
Yeah, and especially come this April when Game of Thrones starts again, and that airs at midnight or whatever time it does, because it airs in America at the same time it airs over here. It's that dilemma to all of our fans. Are you going to watch the final season of Game of Thrones, or are you going to listen to our podcast first? What spoilers are you more worried about?
Wait, who's asking questions?
You.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, am I? I won last week then. Awesome.
And just like last week, it sounds like we're not prepared.
I've got my app open.
Okay.
Would you rather go to the Mariana Trench or the moon?
I'd rather go to the moon.
Oh, yeah, well, I guess I'll go to the Marinara Trench.
Mariana, not Mariana. It's not a sauce.
I didn't know the marinara option. Definitely would have chosen that.
The trench where they make pasta and pizza topping.
Damn. Okay. So just to confirm, isn't that basically the really deep sea bit?
Yes, that's actually been studied less than the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
I'd rather go to the moon because I'd rather not be crushed by the intense pressure of millions of tons of water on top of me.
But it sounds like you're going to go there without any sort of apparatus, whereas you're going to go to the moon with equally no apparatus. Is that how it's working? Are you both going to be in some sort of capsule that stops you from dying, John? Think about this.
I think you're getting confused. I said I'd rather go there. That doesn't mean I'm going to go there.
No, you can't do this. You do this to him, you don't do this to me. Pack it in.
I'd like to meet an anglerfish, like in the Finding Nemo film, when it's really dark, and I would like to eat him and absorb his powers, and then I will take over I'm going to carry on saying it my way, the Marinara Trench, and that will be my domain.
You're saying this as if you're talking as if you're that famous Nintendo character Kirby. It's going to inhale the fish and become the fish.
You can't tell me I'm wrong. Like you said, we don't know anything about it.
And I think one of the best things about going to the moon would be you'd get to go there. It'd be really cool. You'd jump around, jump really high, the low gravity and all that. But you won't have everybody going on about it forever because somebody else has already done it. Just imagine what Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin what their lives must have been like before they both died.
I thought Buzz Aldrin was still alive.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, but our listeners don't know that.
Wow. So not only do you want to go to space just so you can do a bit of jumping around.
I'm trying to make this podcast timeless so that in the future, when Buzz Aldrin does pass away, people can still listen to this. And we know who wins the
Super Bowl.
And it makes sense.
Is it
the rest of their lives, people are going, oh, you're the guy who went to the moon. I had other achievements,
Sorry, sidebar. John, do we know who's going to the Super Bowl yet? Is it Pat's Rams?
Pat's Rams.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Oh, it's the Patriots. Spoiler alert.
Gonna have to cheer on the Rams this year, I think.
Yep.
Anyway, so the Marinara Trench. Sorry, John.
Where the sauce comes from.
Where the sauce comes from. As I was saying about anglerfish, because we know nothing about down there, and they've never come up to, see what's going on. I think it's because they've got their own things going on. I think they've actually probably evolved past us, and I'd like to go and learn their things. And I can prove this with one simple thing. So, the anglerfish with the light bulb thing that they use to serve prey, I don't think that's just an exaggeration that we've used for cartoons. It's just they keep having really good ideas.
Oh, so they're a very thinky type of fish.
Yeah, light bulb moment. They're actually like the fish equivalent of Einstein and Aristotle. And that's probably where the lost city of Atlantis is down there. And, where the Little Mermaid kingdom lives and everything like that.
So you're saying anglerfish would probably rule the world if they had opposable thumbs?
Yeah, but I'm saying they don't want to because they've got all that space down there. I mean, look at what we've done to the Earth as human beings. And why would they want to come up and join us? And also, why would they want to change what we're doing? Because we're just destroying the environment. Seas are getting higher. Just even more domain for them.
It's true. They are on for a winner, aren't they?
So I think they're quite happy. And they probably leak info about what's down there, about all these terrible creatures and the giant squid that are bigger than like entire streets and things like that, just to scare us even more so that we don't go down. And I'm willing to bet that it was just mistranslated and it is a Marinara Trench that has lots of delicious sauce and meatballs, but they mistranslated it because they didn't want everyone going down there.
Did you know that Buzz Aldrin actually flew 66 combat missions in Korea during the Korean War? No one ever talks about that. It's because they're too focused on him going to the moon. When I go to the moon...
You'd rather be remembered for killing all those Korean people that you killed. We
should also remember when John goes to the moon that he spent all of his time on Earth Googling things during the podcast again.
Yeah.
Just thought you should know.
Okay.
When I go to the moon...
Loads of people have been in the army or the Air Force and killed loads of people, but not many people have been to the moon.
Yeah, but when I go to the moon, people will talk about my other achievements.
What other achievements?
Marrying his super hot wife.
It's 10 years younger than him.
I'm going to get on this podcast one day and find out the truth. How much for a hypnol does one man need?
You can get a subscription now.
Get it off Amazon.
Yes. So it comes with like a weekly magazine and stuff as well. Fritzl Weekly.
Alexa, help! Your usual's on the way, John. Don't worry. I'm a bit worried that we're actually quite close to the truth here. He's not defending himself very well. At all, in fact.
No, he's probably tired from tying her up again.
Stopping her from stealing cats.
Yeah.
It's a hard habit. It's got to be broken.
I just think it's sad that we're trying to find more out about all these other things when we still don't know everything about our own planet. But that's just human nature, I guess. You always know what's better for other people than you do yourself.
It's quite existential of you, then.
It's quite profound.
So
it's not.
Rocket Man.
It's not. I'm practicing this thing where I say things that sound profound, but actually they're not.
Oh, like Kanye West tweeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I do apologise. I think slightly less of you now for that. Okay.
It's really easy to do. Let's think of one. What is an ocean but another man's dreams?
How high are you right now?
It makes no sense, and yet if I sold that as stickers that went on your bedroom wall, give it 5 years, someone would have that tattoo, and people would decide what it meant. You can say whatever you want.
Don't shoot for the moon. Shoot at the moon.
Do you know something about the moon that we don't?
No, it needs to be destroyed. That's why I want to go to the moon. I want to blow it up.
Which would be
that moon.
Awesome for me when I become I don't want to become the ruler of the deep dark oceans, just a mere citizen. Which would be brilliant because you destroy the moon, which would destroy the tides and various other effects it has on the planet, which means that the oceans can just run wild.
Well, if we blew up the moon, then Earth could have pretty rings like Saturn.
Very true.
The moon is quite useful. Like when I used to walk the dog and it was a full moon, I almost didn't need my head torch because it was so well illuminated.
Yeah, but the moon doesn't create light; it just reflects it. So we could just put some big mirrors up in the sky.
Maybe the rings would reflect the light as well. Might actually reflect it better.
Yeah, we could destroy the moon, but before we destroy the moon, we could coat it in the bioluminescence that we're going to learn from me studying the deep dark oceans, and then we destroy the moon, and then the rings will all be lit up, and then it will always be daytime.
I think the two work hand in hand actually, because don't astronauts train underwater so that they can operate in?
No, you're thinking of fish.
Okay, I'm not hearing any positives for actually going to the moon, but we're all in agreement
so I
that
could blow it up.
destroying it. Well, I'm against it. I have to land on it and drill on it and plant explosives inside the core of it.
Yeah.
While Aerosmith plays the soundtrack while you don't come home.
Maybe I'll find, while I'm digging to plant the dynamite, I'll find some rare minerals and come back having.
Tell me one mineral that is more valuable than a delicious lightly spiced tomato sauce. That's why
the fossilized cheese that the moon is made of.
Matt wins.
Yeah, of course I do.
Grate on the marinara.
You're going to crash the moon into Matt's trench.
Oh, why do we always talk about this every week?
Right. I want to get off the subject because John is thinking too big. I think we need to rein him in a little bit. So why don't we try and put him back in his box and ask him how we're going to contact him this week on Twitter.
Yeah, if you'd like to put John back in his box, tweet us at WoodJRather, and we will physically put him in a box.
You can contact me directly by choosing the second option, then the first option, then the second option, then the first option, and then the second option again in your Choose Your Own Adventure book.
Oh, I thought you were going in a different direction of you are 7th in the queue to contact John with a H. Your tweet is important to us.
See, you just took away another communication method that I could have used in a future week.
I'm waiting for you to use teletext. That's my favourite one.
Oh, I miss teletext. It's like, I'm bored and I'm 9. I'm going to go on the jokes page.
They were as bad as cracker jokes. If you want to send me your favourite cracker joke, can you send it to John would rather. It's no H because in the scales it only goes up to G, so H is a waste of time. No one plays H. We don't play crazy, ridiculous tunings. We're going to go with that.
I'm going to put G in your name.
Why not?
Troggin. Well, you spent a large portion of your life spelling your name with an X, so...
Did I?
Yeah, you got rid of the H and you used an X instead.
Yeah.
And an X is just a H that's collapsed in on itself.
Excellent.
Very nice. Is the red button still a thing, or do we just use the internet now?
I used a road map because I was trying to save battery in my phone today. I had a UK road atlas out because I didn't want to use my battery. And then I went, I can't see any fucking detail on this. This is useless. And then you just got my phone out anyway.
Do you not have a charger in your car?
I've got the cigarette adapter, but the charging cable left in the house. So.
See, I bought an extra cable that just lives in my car exclusively.
I realised, and then the missus broke it, so it lives in the house now.
I realised the other day that every time I go on a long drive, I forget to plug it in, even though I plug my phone into the radio adapter thing, so that I can listen to podcasts when I'm driving. And I get to my destination and go, oh, fantastic! I've been driving for 3 hours in something that I could use to charge my phone, and my phone has 20% battery. Now that I'm about to go out to somewhere where I can't charge my phone. Every time without fail.
First world problems, eh?
I know, it's awful.
Okay, guys, this is a very pressing issue. I need to know now, would you rather be grey or bald?
I'd rather be bald.
Why, because?
Because I am going very, very bald, and I am trying to live in denial, and I figured that the best way to do it would be to try and argue a case I don't believe in. But yeah, I would rather be bald because I would save lots of money on shampoo and conditioner. Even though, as a man, we all know that I don't buy shampoo and conditioner. I buy one bottle that just says clean and use it on everything.
So you use dish soap on your head?
Sorry?
Use dish soap on your head.
I've used Fairy Liquid before.
Maybe that's why it's falling out.
Keep using bleach on it.
No, I don't use bleach, but possibly.
That's a cleaning product.
None of the plates or like cutlery is hairy, so maybe Fairy Liquid causes baldness.
We'll never know now.
So, John, why would you rather look like Philip Schofield than Bruce Willis?
Because
he does look more like Philip Schofield than Bruce Willis.
Because ever since I was a little boy, I've woken up.
You've been losing your hair.
No.
You've been scraping it back further and further forward so we wouldn't notice.
No, I've always had quite a far back hairline. I remember being in primary school and the teacher said to everybody, now, when you're drawing your self-portrait, make sure that you don't draw the hair on top of your head because everybody's hair starts further forward than that. And I said, mine doesn't, and pulled my hairline back. And they then made me do it again in front of the teaching assistant because they couldn't believe it. So I take comfort from that, knowing that even though I've got quite high hairline, it's just always been like that.
I'm very sad that you're openly telling people about this as a fact on our podcast, which tens of people listen to, and yet you once fought off 3 of us because we wanted to see how big your forehead was because somebody told us you had quite a big forehead over a decade ago.
That was
a good afternoon at college.
When all you could have done was just gone, there you go, chaps. You refused to, and then fought 3 of us.
And won.
No, you didn't.
You didn't see the hairline.
Yes, we did.
No, you didn't.
I do. I have a photo of it.
Right, fine. Norway, take 2. We're going to fight John.
I'll take on all of you. Anyway, so ever since that day, I've always woken up in the morning and gone, wish I was a silver fox. I'm really looking forward to that day when hopefully
there's no relationship between those 2 stories.
No, but that doesn't matter. It's just coincidence. Okay. I've always gone, when I'm a bit older and my hair goes grey, people will respect me and say, that guy clearly knows what he's talking about. He looks wise with his silvery hair. Like Gandalf or Dumbledore or someone in real life who's got silver hair who
I like
people
the way
think is wise.
That you say, people with grey hair are wise, and you just assume that connection rather than aspiring to be as wise. You're just going to play up the fact that people will think you're wise.
Well, I mean, fake it till you make it.
Maybe I should be doing that because I'm definitely in a dead end job right now. I could be a man in the city living it up, hair or not, wagging my way through life.
I think it's the same. You just dress for the job that you want, not the job that you have.
Well, when I was much younger, obviously, when you're kids, you get all these different things for Christmas. And I got this robot, and you've probably seen them because they still sell them now. But it was one of these robots that makes a lot of noise. It walks forwards a few steps, and then at the hips, it just spins full 360 degrees a few times while pretending to fire a gun and makes noises. And it will spin 3 times, pretending to shoot, and then it will walk forward a few steps, and then it will do it again. And I remember me and my best friend, I'd been about 5 or 6, playing with this thing for hours. We'd army crawl across the floor trying to avoid it shooting us, and we'd throw things at it to try and knock it down, and then it would do the spin thing, and it'd stand back up because the gun would push it back onto its feet, and it was absolutely fantastic. And anyway, so that's the reason why I'd rather be bald.
It probably felt like hours, but it was probably 5 minutes.
That was as coherent as John's argument. I will give you that.
Exactly.
I used to have a robot a bit like that, but you put vegetable oil in its head and then it blew out smoke.
Damn, I was about to say, how is that anything to do with having grey hair? Because robots are bald, but if it's blowing out smoke, then that's grey. So you've got me there.
It's the same colour as the thing you were on about, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Name me 3 men that are bald and 3 men that have got grey hair, and I will decide the winner on your pop culture knowledge, which basically means Matt's going to win.
This is not fair because you know that I can't remember the names of anyone.
You said Gandalf. I'd let you have that.
Okay. And I said Dumbledore.
Well, I'm going to go with Voldemort.
Ooh.
See, I'm struggling to think of famous bald people as well, and I'm not going to use Bruce Willis because we already discussed him, so that's unfair.
What about the guy from Star Trek?
Patrick Stewart. Isn't Patrick Stewart the honorary handing out degree person at the university that you went to?
He is. He ate in the restaurant I worked in more than once while I worked there, and both times I was off, and I used to work 5 days a week. So, yeah, that was good.
He'd heard.
So is that why you're not picking Patrick Stewart for your bald go home?
No, but I'm going to think of my own bald people because somebody else has mentioned them. They're talking about people who should have grey hair, but instead they're just doing what I do about methods of communication and stopping me being able to name people. Voldemort, do they have to be real people?
I let John have Dumbledore and Gandalf. You can have Voldemort, it's fine.
Okay, then I'll also have Homer Simpson. Or because he's got 2 hairs, does that not count?
I think he's got less hair than needs to for a full head. So yeah, I'll let you have that.
And I'll also go with Terry Crews.
Oh yeah, Matt, you've won.
Terry loves yogurt.
Judi Dench.
Wait. Okay, yes, Judi Dench. Well done, John. That's the person.
She's got grey hair.
She does.
That is correct. But
she's also praised and loved by Lethal Bizzle.
But also, I've already won.
Good.
It is.
It's a bit of a relief, really.
Why?
Well, now I can really let the real John come out for the third question.
I just googled bald people just out of curiosity, and there's so many people that I didn't think of. But also, in the top 5 responses, it's just a random bald man. There is, what's his name? Mini-Me. Vern
Troyer.
Vern Troyer, yeah. There's Vin Diesel. And then images 4 and 5 are a Photoshop picture of Donald Trump bald and a Photoshop picture of Simon Cowell bald. And with the titles Belief, which one is from the Daily Mail, which is the Trump, which says bald men are less handsome. And the Guardian says, are bald men more powerful? So, yeah, there's that. Oh, well, I'm saving this article for later. The 100 most powerful bald men.
Skeletor's going to be on there.
Can't wait for number 99.
I should stop judging my questions on name me this, go, because I think John gets even more flustered and put on the spot when I do that.
Of course he does. So did I already win the episode?
Yeah, John's just playing for pride.
Right, have we got a third question?
Yeah. Would you rather have your partner's job or your parents' job?
Which parent? I need you to specify because that will change things.
Your dad, because I probably prefer to do my dad's job.
I would rather have my... No, I don't know.
Because neither of them are what you'd want to do, or because they're both too good to choose? Because
my dad does building and maintenance, and also
so does your girlfriend,
and also a bit of football coaching, of which I don't mind doing like building and maintenance stuff. I have to do it enough at work, and I am quite good at that stuff, despite how I look like Morph, and people assume that I can't pick up a hammer.
Yeah.
And my girlfriend works with people who live in assisted living as a support worker, which, to be honest, doesn't sound like it's for me. I have to deal with a lot of the public in general, and I don't like people. And
so why do you do your current job?
Because I'm good at it. You don't do things because you enjoy it. You do things because you're good at it.
That's true.
See, I have the option between being a surgeon or being an editor of a whiskey website. So on the one hand, I can be...
So just to confirm, your choice is to whether you could be a surgeon where you get to help people actually survive, or be an editor of a whiskey website and do journalism where you get to travel around and drink whiskey. And I've got the choice between being an alcoholic or looking after people in assisted living. So it's kind of like a few rungs below both of your choices.
John wins.
And I'm sure my partner won't be offended to say that what she does isn't quite as qualified as being a surgeon.
Does it help your argument at all if I say, do you what your mum did for a living? Or...
Yeah, because I'd love to have done what my mum did for a living. She does baby scanning. She's an ultrasound sonographer. I don't know the proper title of that either. Very bad with titles of what people do when they work in health.
So what do I do?
My mum also works in health. She's a nurse.
Exactly. So shall we just both... Can you change it to mum? John and I will both decide to be nurses, and then we'll call it a tie, because John's already lost the episode.
Okay, so my last question for you guys is, would you rather do what your mum did for a living, or would you do what your partner does for a living?
I would rather do what John's partner does for a living.
Same, but that's not the option.
Fine, I'll do what John's mum does for a living then.
Sailors up against walls on shore leave.
Wow, that's a bit unfair.
Whose mum was having a go at? Sorry. I'm sure both your mums are lovely.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know whether John's mum listens to this, but mine does. So we'll pretend you were talking about my mum, because she'll hear that.
I don't think your mum likes me anyway. It's fine.
No, she doesn't. She said you're just a poor imitation of the nice John. She didn't, but I really wish she had. We'll find out when we do a special episode on Mother's Day, where she comes on and the first thing she goes like, "Right, Jonathan, I've got a bone to pick with you," and you're like, "Yeah, no."
Oh, naughty step for half an hour. Fuck. It's the worst thing about being old. Got to sit naughty step for ages.
So yes,
John, have you got the input?
I'm not sure what he chose, so I don't know which ones I'm supposed to be going with.
I chose your mum's job, because I wasn't allowed to choose your partner's job, so I chose your mum's job. And then John made a derogatory joke about your mum doing things with people that work for the Navy. I jumped in to defend you. He then decided to change it, so he was talking about my mum, because he realised that he'd been nasty for no reason. And then I threatened him that my mum's going to tell him what for. And he went, "Oh dear, now I'm scared." So, long story short, Matt wins.
I'd rather do what my wife does for a living, because she, while we're recording this, is at a Burns night supper that was free, getting free whiskey and free dinner.
But she doesn't get a +1, right? Or did you choose podcast over Scotch?
I obviously chose the podcast.
You weren't invited, were you?
You weren't invited.
I chose you guys.
You're not going to bring John here. He's going to eat all the haggis again.
He wasn't invited, was he?
You do become
That's
quite rowdy
neither
when
here nor there.
you do become quite rowdy when you've eaten too much meat.
Maybe that's why there was that news story this week that everyone, or if you're listening to this 3 weeks ago, that people need to cut down their meat consumption. It's got nothing to do with the planet. It's just because it makes people too rowdy.
I knew I had something to talk to you both about, which I should have done as the intro, but it's fine. I'll talk to you about it at the end. John, who won so we can get this over with?
No winners.
Winners.
You won the episode you've won the episode outright, and there are no winners for the last one because
fantastic.
You two are like trying to herd cats on occasion.
Did you see the news story about that man who got a digger and trashed up the travel lodge that happened just around the corner from my work?
Yeah, I was going to message you about that, but I couldn't find the proper news link. Someone just sent me a thing on their phone.
It's one of that's one of those things that someone showed me, and they were like, "Look what happened!" Like round the corner, and all the videos, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And then got home from work, and I was like, "Oh, this is like an international story that's everywhere." I just assumed that it was because it was round the corner, it was big news, but nope, it's literally everywhere.
So wait, what happened?
There was a Scouser in a mini JCB trash in the front of a travel lodge because he didn't get paid. But actually he did get paid. So, yeah.
I don't know the full story. All I know is apparently he was owed money, so he got in a mini JCB and just drove into the front of a travel lodge.
And pulled the front desk out with a scoop.
And there's screenshots online where someone's already been on TripAdvisor complaining about it because they were staying in the hotel that morning.
Oh, bro.
I don't know whether it was a real TripAdvisor or a fake one. But someone was like, "Oh, lots of noise while we were trying to have a lay-in in our room. Also, housekeeping don't do a good job because the reception area was filthy." When he's driven a JCB into reception and absolutely demolished it.
The more you talk about Liverpool, the less I want to go there.
No, it's brilliant. It really is a brilliant place to live.
You complain because it's full of Scousers.
I don't complain because it's full of Scousers. I like Scousers.
No, you just take the mick out of them, don't you? Sorry, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But they take the mick out of me because they're nice people. Well, I think we're done here.
Well, I've been John, and I haven't made any puns today.
Why did you say that in such a weird manner, you freak?
Yeah, I was like,
what?
Oh, he's just
What's
made a
wrong
pun.
with you?
No, he hasn't just made a pun.
What is wrong with you?
I couldn't find anywhere to order the Chinese that I wanted, so I'm having an Indian instead.
I don't know.
The actress to the bishop.
If I end this can I just sign off and end this podcast and just stop prolonging the pain? Or are we going to try and long it out so John can get one good pun in?
No, because even if he had made a pun, I've made one of my New Year's resolutions was to start having, more me time this year, and my second one is to cut out every pun John makes on the podcast during the editing process.
Oh.
But
why?
But as a result of that, I'm going to save them separately, and then at the end of the year, instead of us releasing an episode for New Year's Eve or Christmas, one of the two, I'm just going to release a supercut of every single pun that he's made out of context.
It's going to sound like the ramblings of a crazy man.
I'm going to sound super boring for 52 weeks and then really interesting for
40 seconds. That was generous of me, wasn't it?
Plus, at the rate that you used to make puns, if you still did, it would be like people will get to December and go, well, I know it's called Would John Rather, but there's only one John that does most of the talking. The other one barely speaks. You'll just have your intro and your Twitter, and other than that, you don't say very much. And at the end of the year, I'll release a 9-hour-long compilation.
Do you want to try the outro again? Do you want to have like a whole 5-6 second outro? Or are you scared Matt's going to cut it again?
I'm going to leave all of this in. That's going to be the outro.
Finn.
See you next week, folks.